There are quite a few things you can do with time, but in this videos we'll look at only the introduction of time, which is mapping to simple things like daily activities, being able to tell the time in an analog clock, right? Knowing that there are 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in an hour, being able to avoiding any confusion in all this and telling what will be the time after 1 hour, half an hour, 15 minutes and so on. So one of the things we want to introduce to children is the observation. So this kind of a clock is really good because it has gears, which means it is mapped. So as you rotate this will rotate as well. So you know that you can get 6 p.m. but if you can't get, you cannot get the hour there and the minute here. It will not work. It would have moved from there to here. So not all combinations are possible. So you start doing that through observation. So it means they have to observe the clock and they have to draw it. So for this the children need to be able to draw, let's say, circles really quickly. Many things work. I have used the inside. You can draw something on the inside, you can draw something from the outside. Both are possible. For example, and children can look for different objects to draw these circles. The fat bottle cap, bottle, if you just cut the top, if there's a waste bottle, that's also pretty good. But you can just take any shape that is circular and children can experiment with seeing if they can actually draw it. Yeah. I am going to use actually 3 colors. I'm going to actually use the red along with the red. I'm going to use a blue color along with the blue. And I'm going to use a black color actually for the circles. I haven't drawn it this time, but I should draw all of them with black. Okay, so once they draw some size of a clock, they attempt to see how well they can map it. So you can have larger shapes, larger size, somewhat determined by the preference of the child, but make sure you can at least get a few of them on a page so you can see as time is going by, right? So, and children will come up with very innovative things. No? Okay, you get this, you can put this also. And so the sense that you can either draw out, oh, this one is not very good, and then as you do it you will figure such things out, or inside, which tends to be easier and faster actually. So what will they use to draw their shape, right? And mostly in the beginning children will mark out like that it's somewhere in the center. You have the 12, you have the 6, you have the 3, you have the 9. So this observation they should be able to do. And you can just give them a time and say, draw this as accurately as possible, draw this. And then you can start guiding them in the process. You can tell them that the time is the number of hours that we are talking about, which is the time right now. We'll have how many hours and how many minutes. The hours you read in the red, which means as long as it hasn't, you see, you can let them play with it. So they see that the hour moves as the minutes move, right? And so till you have reached 12, the hour still represents 6. It is not actually 7. Once it crosses 12, until it reaches 12 again, and then that there are basically 2 here between the 2. So if that's how you taught them, then at least the 12, 6, 3, 12, 6, 3 and 9 come, and then they fill in the gaps. So all these are actually the hours, right? And that's being displayed here in red. So the reds are with the reds. And so if you give them any time like this to draw, how accurately can they draw them? They can see that it's not yet reached 7. So a little less than 7. And this is equivalently at 45. So we basically get them to draw many of these so that they are able to accurately uh, notice what's happening with the clock. That till it reaches 7, it's not actually going to touch 7. And if children are confused, they can actually, when they have a clock, move it around, right? And say, when I cross 12, what happens? What is the real time? Because that's usually what you will be working with. So in the daily activity, when we start, they'll be drawing these and they'll be drawing it for their daily activities. So they will tell them when do they wake up. They say 6:30, 7 or 5:30. Then you basically put that and say, okay, you said 5:30, this is what 5:30 looks like. So now draw 5:30. And then you can start encouraging them. Initially this, you get them to draw all of them. And then over time, you can get them to only draw the codes that are needed and so on. So it can progressively go from a point where it's sort of full to a point where it is less and less full, and you are, yeah. And so the next thing, of course, is the minutes, right? So the minutes is there in blue, if you can see it in this. And then you can tell them that they are all the dots. You can actually count the dots, and as you count the dots, you see there are 10 of them. That's why this is the 10th dot. And there's a relationship between the red and the blue, and this very easily children identify as the 5 tables. So, and they know till 50, and this 55, 60 also they do easily. And tell them it's not 60, it's actually a 0. That's, you come to the next, once you reach 12, you have come to the next hour. So it's 8 o'clock. So this is something that we can work on, which is basically the daily activity, and you can get creative about it. Children can draw that they wake up, they get ready, they eat, and so on. So you can have them draw this. If they sit on tables and eat, and they don't sit on tables, they sit on the floor, then draw the floor. So basically you draw what is the activity, and accordingly what is the time. In that activity, what was the time. So this basically would be the daily activity setting, and you will make them aware that you have both 3 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the evening, and so on, or 6 o'clock in the morning and 6 o'clock in the evening, so that this is not representing the entire day. 2 rotations of this represent the entire day. So there are 12 plus 12, 24 hours in a day. So I should be able to tell the time and not get confused with, is this 7:55 or 8:55, because it's coming closer to 8. That's where the confusion is coming from. So you let them play with it and take it up to 12 and say, well, what will it be in 5 minutes, right? So from here to here there's 5 minutes. Only now it will be 8 o'clock. So it's not yet 8 o'clock. So then it's 7:55. So if they have a way of sort of playing with it and figuring out where is it going to reach 12, I think this confusion can be easily avoided. So then we talk about what is the time after 1 hour. Right? So how do we define an hour? Right? We define an hour that this needle goes all the way around and comes back to the same location. So that's what an hour is, right? From here. How is half an hour? Half an hour is this needle goes exactly opposite of where it is. That's half an hour. What is a quarter of an hour? A quarter of an hour is it moves 3 of these boxes. That's quarter of an hour. 2 quarter hours or 2 15 minutes will make a half an hour. So if you can just do visually some of these things, then children will be able to tell the normal day-to-day things. If you have a 45-minute class, or if you have a 1.5 hour class, or if you have a 3-hour class, you can actually work through what will be the time. What is the time now? What will be the time when these games are what will be the time when you are eating? What will be the time when you are playing? So these, how long will it take to do, can be based off rotating the clock.